Africa Cup of Nations, a new Paris Super Club, maybe. Arjen Robben shares his thoughts about moving to China. Herculez Gomez calls it quits, and the FA considers taking a measure against diving, to which I say, is nothing sacred? It's Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. It's not January 4th, it's January 18th, 2017. From the Total Soccer Show, Dirty Tackle, and Howler Magazine, this is The Goalmouth. I'm George Qureshi. First up, the Africa Cup of Nations. It's happening. Riyad Mahrez scored twice as Algeria came from behind to tie Zimbabwe. It was one of those games, that just really confounds the stat heads. Consider this stat. Algeria won 81.3% of the aerial duels, and still, all they got was a draw. I guess that old saying, so go the aerial duels, so goes the match, isn't always true. Anyway, this is a really fun tournament, and I have dropped a link in today's email for you to go check out the official highlights packages over at bnsports.com. I've got a theory I'd like to test out. I'm a little too lazy to do that right now, but off the top of my head, isn't it true that Francophone African countries have done better in international soccer than Anglophone ones? Why is that? As a guy who majored in history with a focus on colonial and post-colonial Africa, I can tell you I am really regretting my choice of thesis topic right about now. Anyway, speaking of the place that puts the Franc in Francophone, Paris is about to get a new super club. That's right. Step aside PSG, because L'Equipe is reporting that 3 Parisian clubs are joining forces to become one Parisian club. So I will say that this comes by way of Google Translate, and so I'm like maybe I'll revise that down, 70% sure, 72.3% sure that I understand what is happening here, but this is what it says. The project of a new football club in Paris is well advanced. Paris FC racing enthusiasts and Juvisy-sur-Orge are negotiating to merge with plans to join the Ligue 1. Okay, stay tuned for more information on that, or maybe just a French-speaking member of the Goalmouth team who can follow up and add a little more clarity. There is no doubt about what Arjen Robben thinks of all these players moving to China. Okay, here it is. Here's his quote. I am having a great time here at Bayern, and I am playing at one of the best clubs in the world. I would not know where to move at my age. A transfer to China would be something else entirely. That is basically acknowledging your career is over. I want to keep playing at the highest level as long as possible. A couple of things I learned about Arjen Robben while reading this story. Number 1, he's just signed a 12-month contract extension at Bayern Munich. Number 2, he's only 32. That's 2 years younger than me, but he looks like he's older than my dad. What is up with that? Okay, now I want you to listen to these next 2 statements and forget that he's talking about soccer players and just think about any former, any career in which it makes sense to maximize your earning potential for as long as possible. Here's the first quote. They are offering maybe 4, 5, or 6 times the amounts you get at a big club. All right, that's the first quote. Like I said, here's the second quote. I do not understand players going to China at the age of 27 or 28. Those guys are at the peak of their careers. That is a waste, really. You only get one career. Okay, did you do that? Did you follow that? It's kind of amazing, right? Because if it was any profession other than soccer player, everyone listening to this, I think, would be thinking that he's crazy for not saying he'd go to the place where you're going to get paid 4, 5, 6 times what you're earning right now. And you'd be crazy for not going immediately in order to work at those rates for as many years as possible. Also, the food in China is really delicious. While we're on the topic of people whose soccer careers are over, Herculez Gomez announced his retirement from soccer yesterday. Why he didn't go to China for just one more year, I don't know, but he did announce that he would be joining ESPN, so good for Herc. His story is amazing, all that persevering for all those years, finally making it, doing it on his own terms. There's a helicopter going by overhead, pretty close apparently. I don't know if you can hear that. What was I saying? Okay. What's not to like about Herc? I seriously, this guy, really enjoy Herculez Gomez. In today's email, I'm linking to the profile that Robert Andrew Powell wrote about him for Howler issue 2. He flew down to Mexico, and Herc actually put him up for a few days while Robert interviewed him and did his reporting, which kind of says a lot about the guy, if you ask me. It's a good read. And finally, the English FA, having failed to do anything, really, about the sexual abuse that was apparently rampant in English soccer for decades, has set its sights on diving, by considering a proposal to make it possible to give retroactive punishments if they later decide a player dove to win a foul. This is such an obviously smart thing to do that it's almost no wonder that, Scotland already does it. The English FA is apparently sending a delegation up north on a fact-finding mission. That's what they call it in the piece I read, a fact-finding mission. Let me save you the time. Do it. Punish diving retroactively. It is so obviously the right thing to do. I can't even believe we're talking about it right now. How is this not already a thing? That's it for today's Goalmouth. I'm excited because later today, I'll be seeing Mr. Daryl Grove, who's visiting St. Pete, but has deigned to come over to Tampa this afternoon and play in my five-a-side league this evening. I can't wait. My name is George Qureshi. Taylor Rockwell will be with you tomorrow morning. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter where you can click out to all of the stories I've mentioned on this podcast. The link to sign up is in the show notes. And I leave you with today's Goalmouth top tip. Arjen Robben runs like a T-Rex with tiny little T-Rex arms, and now you'll never be able not to see that.